Imagine this: the entire hip-hop world waking up in pure shock. Timelines exploding, fans panicking, and insiders whispering the unthinkable, that Drake, the so-called Sixth God, is facing the kind of leak that doesn't just embarrass an artist. It could end his career forever. We're not talking about some harmless studio snippet or an unreleased track. No. This leak is darker, more dangerous, and far more personal. It's the kind of revelation that leaves even Drake's most loyal fans frozen, asking themselves, can he survive this storm? Social media is already in meltdown. A mysterious file, allegedly packed with private voice notes, controversial texts, and shocking industry confessions, has surfaced. Nobody knows where it came from, but everyone agrees on one thing. If this is real, Drake's carefully built empire could collapse in seconds. And here's the kicker. Multiple insider sources claim this leak didn't happen by accident. They're pointing fingers at rivals, ex-friends, and even people within Drake's own circle who may have betrayed him. But the scariest part? We've only seen the surface. What's buried deeper in this leak is said to be so destructive, so unforgivable that even Drake himself can't spin it. So buckle up, because tonight we're pulling back the curtain on the leak that could destroy Drake's legacy forever. And trust me, this is bad. For years, Drake has stood as hip-hop's golden boy, the artist who could dominate charts, break streaming records, and outshine his rivals with nothing more than a clever hook and a headline-grabbing verse. But behind the platinum plaques and sold-out arenas, whispers have always followed him. Whispers of betrayal. Whispers of hidden feuds. Whispers of secrets so carefully buried that fans thought they'd never see daylight. This isn't the first time Drake's career has been shaken by scandal. Remember the ghostwriting accusations? Back when Meek Mill exposed Drake with those infamous tweets, the internet nearly tore him apart. People called him fake. Critics declared his career over. And yet, Drake survived, flipping the controversy into fuel and proving he could come out stronger. That survival built his image as untouchable. But this new leak? Insiders are calling it career-ending, a scandal so much darker than ghostwriting or petty beefs. To understand just how dangerous this is, we need to trace the pattern of enemies Drake has made. From Kanye West leaking private conversations to Pusha T detonating his Adonis secret in The Story of Adidon, every rival has left scars. But Drake managed to spin every blow into something profitable. Fans forgave him. Industry execs protected him. Even when he was booed off stage at Camp Flog Gnaw, he shrugged it off. But now, the whispers are louder. Multiple industry insiders claim that this leak didn't just come from a random hacker. It came from someone close to Drake. Someone who knows his habits, his weaknesses, and his biggest vulnerabilities. A betrayal from within his own circle. And here's where it gets even messier. Those insiders are pointing to a pattern of suspicious behavior that stretches back months. Canceled studio sessions, odd arguments with OVO associates, strange late-night cryptic posts that fans dismissed at the time, but now feel like warnings. On Twitter, an account with no profile picture and a handle that looks randomly generated dropped the first breadcrumb. Drake's empire is about to collapse. The files are real. Sixth God exposed. At first, fans laughed it off. After all, Drake's been a target for trolls for years. But then, things escalated. Hours later, blurred screenshots surfaced, showing what looked like private voice notes allegedly from Drake himself, venting about rivals, collaborators, and even his own fans. One chilling line that caught fire online. If people really knew what I've done behind the scenes, they'd never look at me the same again. Now, whether these voice notes are real or fabricated is still unclear. But the timing, the precision, and the way they connect to years of old rumors make this leak feel more authentic than any past smear. And what's worse, the anonymous account claims there's more, including text exchanges, financial records, and what they ominously describe as proof Drake's entire image is a lie. Fans are split right down the middle. Some say this is nothing more than a rival's smear campaign, an attempt to tear down hip-hop's biggest star. Others are convinced this is the beginning of the end, that Drake's spotless PR machine won't be able to contain the fallout this time. But perhaps the biggest clue lies in who stands to gain from this. Because if Drake falls, who rises? His longtime rival Kendrick Lamar, who's been building momentum off legendary performances? Pusha T, who's never truly buried the hatchet? Or could this be the work of someone far more personal, someone from inside OVO, someone tired of living in the shadows of Drake's fame? The stakes couldn't be higher. The whispers aren't just gossip anymore. They're growing louder, more insistent, more impossible to ignore. And as more pieces of this mysterious leak drip online, fans are beginning to ask the terrifying question no one thought they'd ever have to. Has Drake finally met a scandal he can't survive? But here's the twist. While fans are speculating, insiders are hinting that the real bombshell hasn't even dropped yet. What we've seen so far is just the surface, a taste designed to stir panic. The real files, the ones allegedly locked away on encrypted servers, contain secrets so toxic, so explosive, that even Drake's billions might not buy his way out. And now, the countdown begins. The world is waiting, social media is buzzing, and every minute that passes feels like a ticking time bomb under Drake's empire. Because if these files leak in full, the Sixth God may finally face the unthinkable, downfall. The moment the first batch of leaked files hit the internet, the hip-hop world stopped breathing. No one could have prepared for the chaos that followed. Fans refreshed their feeds in disbelief. Industry insiders scrambled to verify what they were seeing, and Drake's entire empire, an empire built on fame, trust, and carefully crafted image control, suddenly felt like it was standing on glass about to shatter. The leak wasn't just a random drop of screenshots or audio files. No, this was calculated, meticulous, and meant to hurt. The files arrived in a series of waves, almost like a coordinated attack, each one more devastating than the last. The first wave, audio recordings, allegedly Drake himself, caught venting in ways nobody expected. In one clip, he's heard trashing collaborators who were once considered his closest allies. "They're leeches," he mutters. "They're nothing without me." That one line alone sent shockwaves because fans immediately started pointing fingers. Was he talking about Future? About 21 Savage? Maybe even Lil Wayne, the man who gave him his start? The ambiguity was intentional. Whoever leaked these files wanted the world guessing, and they succeeded. But the second wave hit even harder. Screenshots. Messages allegedly exchanged between Drake and a powerful industry executive, where Drake reportedly discussed sabotaging other artists' careers. One line in particular froze fans in their tracks. "If Kendrick drops next quarter, we flood the charts. I don't care what it takes." Did Drake really say this? Was he plotting against his rivals behind the scenes? Nobody could prove it was real, but the sheer possibility lit social media on fire. Fans flooded Twitter with hashtags like Nar6 got exposed, Drake leak, and even Yan cancel Drake, while others fiercely defended him, calling it a smear campaign designed to tear down the biggest name in music. But then came the third wave. And this is where things spiraled out of control. Videos, short, grainy clips supposedly recorded in private settings, backstage, in studios, and even on late-night FaceTimes. In one particularly disturbing clip, Drake is seen arguing with someone blurred out of the frame, shouting, "You think they'd love me if they knew the truth? They don't care about me, they care about the illusion." That clip alone sent chills through his fan base. The illusion? What illusion was he talking about? Was he admitting that his entire persona was fake, carefully constructed to fool the world? Fans who once called Drake relatable suddenly questioned if they ever knew him at all. At this point, insiders began chiming in. Anonymous sources close to OVO allegedly told gossip blogs that the leaks were just the tip of the iceberg, and that the real files could expose Drake's deepest personal life, family issues, financial secrets, and even legal troubles buried under NDAs. One insider chillingly whispered, "If the rest of these files go public, Drake will never recover. We're talking lawsuits, broken relationships, maybe even criminal charges." The industry started to panic. Universal Music reportedly held an emergency meeting within hours of the leaks, trying to assess how much damage control would cost. One exec allegedly shouted during the meeting, "If this goes any further, we're not just losing Drake, we're losing billions in revenue. He's the face of our brand. We can't afford this." Meanwhile, social media was in pure meltdown. Fans were divided into two camps. One side defended Drake, saying the clips were clearly edited, the screenshots fabricated, and the entire leak a desperate smear campaign. The other side, however, smelled blood. They demanded answers. They demanded accountability. They claimed this was proof Drake was never the genuine superstar he pretended to be. Drake was never the genuine superstar he pretended to be. And then, the first twist hit. Because just as people were trying to digest these files, an anonymous whistleblower stepped forward. claiming to be part of Drake's own inner circle. This person, hiding behind a distorted voice in a viral TikTok, claimed they had watched Drake's empire rot from the inside and couldn't stay silent anymore. The whistleblower dropped a bombshell. The leaks weren't random. They were deliberate. They came from years of receipts that Drake himself thought were buried. According to this anonymous source, Drake had enemies far closer than he ever imagined. The files, they claimed, were stolen not by hackers, not by rivals, but by someone he once trusted like family. Someone with full access to his world. Someone who had been silently collecting dirt for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. Fans went insane trying to guess who it could be. Was it an ex-girlfriend? A former OVO crew member? Even rumors about Noah 40 Shabib, Drake's longtime producer and closest confidant, started swirling, though many dismissed that as impossible. Still, the seed of doubt was planted, and if that wasn't shocking enough, the whistleblower left one final haunting message at the end of their TikTok. What you've seen so far is nothing. The real leak hasn't even started. The truth will ruin him. That statement sent shivers across the internet. Because if the audio, the texts, and the videos were just the beginning, what could possibly come next? The industry is now bracing for impact. Drake himself has gone silent, his social media eerily quiet, which only adds to the panic. Normally, he would clap back, post cryptic captions, or flood the internet with memes to spin the story. This time, nothing. Complete silence. And in the world of celebrity scandals, silence speaks louder than words. Because if Drake can't deny it, maybe, just maybe, it's all true. But here's where things get even scarier. The whistleblower didn't just talk. They dropped coordinates. Yes, coordinates. Fans discovered hidden metadata in one of the leaked files that pointed to a physical location, a private storage unit in Toronto. Rumor has it that's where the real files are being kept, waiting to be unleashed, and if those files hit the internet, the sixth god could fall from grace faster than anyone in hip-hop history. If Part 3 left fans reeling, what came next turned the internet into a war zone. Because just when people thought the leak had peaked, another wave hit, and this one was so brutal, so game-changing, that even Drake's most loyal defenders struggled to spin it. The chaos began with a sudden flood of Twitter threads. An anonymous account named Os The Real Files started dropping cryptic posts at 3 a.m. The first tweet read, "Drake built his empire on lies. You've seen the surface. Now watch him drown." Or sixth god exposed. Attached was a blurred document labeled OVO Confidential 2018. Within hours, unblurred versions started circulating. Fans claimed the document detailed payout agreements, hush money allegedly used to silence individuals who threatened to expose Drake in the past. Screenshots went viral. One supposed entry listed a six-figure payment to unnamed woman NDA settlement. Another mentioned compensation, hush arrangement, personal matter. The internet exploded. Fans argued whether these were forged or real, but the timing made them impossible to ignore. A trending reply screamed, "If this is true, Drake's entire clean image was a scam. How many secrets did he bury with cash?" But that wasn't the end. Minutes later, The Real Files tweeted again, "He thought money could protect him. But money can't erase the truth." Drake leaked. This time they attached an audio clip. And the voice? It sounded unmistakably like Drake, heated, panicked, and furious. In the clip, the voice says, "I don't care what it costs. Shut it down. I'm not losing everything over this. Pay them, pay anyone. Just make it disappear." Fans lost their minds. Some claimed the clip was AI generated. Others swore it was authentic, pointing out the tone, the cadence, the little quirks in his speech. Suddenly, Drake hush money trended worldwide, and then the celebrity reactions began pouring in. Meek Mill, who once sparked Drake's ghostwriting scandal, tweeted a cryptic laughing emoji with the words, "Told y'all years ago." Our truth always wins. Pusha T, the man who exposed Drake's son to the world, couldn't resist either. He posted an old picture of himself smirking, with no caption at all. That single post racked up millions of likes within hours. Fans interpreted it as confirmation that Drake's downfall was long overdue. But the most surprising reaction came from someone nobody expected: Nicki Minaj. She jumped on Instagram Live, where thousands tuned in instantly, and while she didn't name Drake outright, she said, Funny how the truth always circles back. People can only hide behind their image for so long before it cracks. And when it cracks, the whole empire falls. Fans went wild dissecting her words. Was Nicki finally distancing herself from Drake? Was she confirming the leaks? Meanwhile, industry insiders were panicking. One unnamed executive allegedly told TMZ, "If these files keep coming, Drake's endorsements will vanish overnight. Brands don't survive scandal like this. He could lose everything." And then, the shocking reveal dropped. The real files uploaded a 2-minute video, an encrypted folder opening on screen. Inside were dozens of files, with titles like Legal Issues 2015, Unreleased Audio, Confidential Texts, and most damning of all, Career-Ending Evidence. The video cut off before showing the contents, but the message was clear. The worst is yet to come. And fans? They couldn't handle the suspense. Hashtags like Our Career-Ending Leak and Drake Files trended at 101 worldwide. TikTok flooded with reaction videos, edits of Drake looking nervous at interviews, and montages of his rivals smirking in past feuds. But here's where the escalation hit another level. Because hidden within the metadata of that folder video was another clue, coordinates pointing to Los Angeles. Fans discovered it led to a warehouse, rumored to belong to a private security firm. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was the whistleblower in LA? Were the files being stored there? Was this part of a calculated takedown bigger than anyone imagined? And then, the boldest claim of all surfaced. The whistleblower returned, posting a voice-distorted message. Drake isn't just hiding personal secrets. He's hiding the truth about the industry. If this leak drops, it won't just destroy him. It will shake hip-hop to its core. That single statement flipped the narrative completely. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Drake's personal scandals. It was about the possibility that his entire career was built on systemic corruption, cover-ups, and manipulation. Fans are now split between panic and fascination. Some are begging for the files to drop, hungry for the chaos. Others are pleading with the whistleblower to stop, claiming it will ruin music forever. Meanwhile, Drake's silence is deafening. No statements, no denials, nothing. And that silence is the scariest part of all. Because if Drake could prove this was fake, wouldn't he have already done it? The hip-hop industry has entered full-blown crisis mode. Rival artists are circling like sharks. Brands are second-guessing endorsements, and fans are left staring at their screens, wondering if the man they idolized was nothing more than a mask hiding the ugliest truths imaginable. But the scariest part? We're still not at the bottom. Because according to the whistleblower, the career-ending evidence hasn't even been unleashed yet. So the question is, when it finally drops, what will be left of Drake? If Part 4 was the spark, Part 5 became the wildfire. The public reaction to Drake's alleged leak wasn't just loud, it was catastrophic. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram collapsed into chaos. For the first time in years, the world wasn't talking about Drake's new music, a viral meme, or another chart-topping hit. They were talking about whether his career was already finished. Hashtags like Josh cancel Drake, Your Six got exposed, and Cha Drake leak stayed trending for 3 straight days. Twitter Spaces erupted with heated debates. One popular space, titled, "Is This the End of Drake?" had over 50,000 listeners. Fans screamed at each other, some defending their idol to the death, others calling him a fraud who manipulated the industry for over a decade. One viral fan tweet read, "I can't believe I defended him for years. If even half this leak is true, we've all been living in a lie." Drake Files. Another shot back with equal venom. "Y'all are so quick to believe anonymous trolls. Drake gave you a whole soundtrack to your lives and you're throwing him under the bus over rumors." Pathetic. The division was brutal. Longtime stans were clashing with casual listeners, and the fan base fractured into camps of blind loyalty and utter betrayal. Meanwhile, TikTok was flooded with edits mocking Drake. One viral clip showed him rapping, "Started from the bottom, now we here," but edited with captions like, "Started from the cover-ups, now we fear." Another trending sound used his line, "I'm upset," played over clips of the alleged hush money documents, sending the internet into hysterics. But it wasn't just fans fueling the fire. The mainstream media pounced. CNN ran a segment titled, "The Leak That Could Take Down Hip-Hop's Biggest Star." Rolling Stone published a lengthy article dissecting every rumor, every supposed payout, every suspicious silence from Drake's camp. TMZ went into overdrive, claiming to have reached out to OVO insiders who refused to comment, which only made the leaks seem more credible. Even financial outlets got involved. Bloomberg ran an analysis of how much money was at stake: brand deals, sponsorships, touring revenue. Their headline screamed, "Drake scandal could cost industry billions." Drake scandal could cost industry billions. But the loudest voices weren't media. They were celebrities. Cardi B went on Instagram Live sipping wine and said, "Y'all ain't ready for what's coming. I told y'all these men in the industry play dirty. They smile in your face but do the wildest things behind closed doors. Karma don't miss." J. Cole, usually diplomatic and quiet, surprised fans with a cryptic tweet. "The truth always comes to light. Every empire has cracks." Even Rihanna, who has a complicated history with Drake, liked a shady post on Instagram that read, "Protect women. Expose the men who hide behind power and money." That single like sent the Navy and Drake's fans into all-out war. Twitter threads analyzing Rihanna's click hit millions of views in hours. The industry was just as divided. Some insiders whispered that Drake was already being frozen out by certain executives. Rumors spread that sponsors like Nike and Apple were considering suspending partnerships pending investigation. Meanwhile, others claimed the scandal was being blown out of proportion, a smear campaign, orchestrated by Drake's enemies to dethrone him. But here's where it got even uglier. Anonymous accounts began leaking. Alleged emails between journalists and Drake's team, suggesting that OVO was offering bribes to kill stories. One email read, "We'll make it worth your while. Pull the story. Drake can't afford this right now." Whether real or fabricated, the narrative was clear. Drake wasn't just under fire. He was being painted as a man desperately clinging to control while his world burned around him. Public opinion became a war zone. Comment sections under his old music videos were filled with fans fighting in real time. One YouTube comment under God's Plan read, "Funny how it was never God's plan. It was Drake's plan to cover his tracks." Another fired back, "Y'all sound crazy. Drake's the reason half of you even listen to hip-hop. You're not canceling him." The split was undeniable. Some people wanted Drake destroyed. Others wanted him saved. But everyone agreed on one thing. The silence from his camp was deafening. Even worse, whispers began spreading that Drake was hiding out in Toronto, avoiding the spotlight while his lawyers scrambled to contain the damage. A paparazzi photo surfaced of someone who looked like him ducking into a black SUV at 4 a.m. The caption went viral. "Drake running from the truth?" And the timing couldn't have been worse. Streaming numbers, once unshakable, began to show cracks. Spotify charts revealed drops in some of his most played tracks as fans began boycotting in protest. The industry isn't just watching, it's panicking. Because if Drake collapses, the ripple effect could devastate everyone tied to him. Labels, producers, collaborators, even streaming platforms that rely on his dominance. But just when fans thought they'd seen the peak of chaos, whispers emerged that the whistleblower had saved their deadliest file for last. A file labeled only as Legacy Ender. And according to leaks floating around Reddit, that file doesn't just expose Drake, it implicates others. Other rappers. Other executives. Possibly even his closest allies. Which means this isn't just Drake's scandal anymore. It's about to blow open the entire industry, just when it felt like the Drake scandal couldn't possibly spiral any further. The final twist hit, and it was worse than anyone ever imagined. At midnight, the anonymous whistleblower released one more chilling message. The snake was never outside. It was inside the OVO nest all along. Within minutes, speculation went into overdrive. Fans had already guessed enemies like Pusha T, Kendrick, or Kanye were behind the leaks. But this revelation pointed to something far more terrifying: betrayal from within Drake's own family, and then the bombshell dropped. Alleged internal documents surfaced showing that one of Drake's most trusted OVO associates, someone who had been with him since the very beginning, was the one feeding files to the whistleblower. Screenshots suggested that this insider had secretly been working with rivals, trading information in exchange for cash and influence. The betrayal wasn't just professional, it was personal. Fans froze when the name surfaced in blurred leaks: an OVO co-founder. Not 40, not Chubbs, but someone high enough in Drake's circle to have access to his deepest files, closest secrets, and most private conversations. The internet imploded. One viral tweet screamed, "Drake didn't get taken down by Kendrick or Pusha. He got taken down by his own brother in arms." "Ars OVO betrayal," another said. "This is Shakespearean." betrayed not by his enemies but by his family. Drake's empire is finished, but it didn't stop there. Because the files that surfaced with this revelation weren't just about Drake, they named names. Screenshots allegedly showed conversations implicating other rappers, managers and executives in backdoor deals, payoffs, and cover-ups. One file even claimed Drake and a rival label head secretly agreed to block emerging artists from playlists, ensuring Drake's dominance on the charts. If true, this wasn't just a scandal. It was proof of industry-wide manipulation. And then the biggest twist of all, among the leaked files was a folder titled Project Silence. Inside were blurred documents suggesting Drake had been preparing his own counterleaks against rivals. Yes, the so-called Six God allegedly had a vault of dirt on other rappers waiting for the right moment to destroy them. The revelation flipped the narrative yet again. Suddenly, fans weren't just asking if Drake was finished. They were asking who else might fall with him. If the whistleblower decides to release everything, the entire hip-hop industry could collapse under the weight of exposed secrets. Industry insiders are terrified. One unnamed producer reportedly told Variety, "If those counterfiles drop, it's not just Drake. Everyone's going down. Careers, reputations, legacies, finished." And here's the kicker. The whistleblower ended their midnight message with one final warning. Legacy Ender drops in 72 hours. The countdown has begun. Fans are glued to their screens, celebrities are panicking, and Drake, he's still silent. No denials, no statements, no music, just silence. And in that silence, the world waits, terrified of what's coming next. Because if the Legacy Ender truly exists, Drake's downfall won't just be the biggest scandal in hip-hop history, it will drag the entire industry into the fire. So the question is, when the final file drops, who will survive? And who will burn? And there you have it, the scandal tearing through the music world like a wildfire. A leak so dark, so personal, so career-threatening that Drake, the man who once seemed untouchable, now stands on the edge of total collapse. But the scariest part? We haven't even seen the Legacy Ender yet. If the whistleblower's threat is real, the next drop won't just hurt Drake. It could drag the entire industry into the flames. Now, this is where I turn to you. Do you think Drake can survive this? Or is this truly the scandal that will end his reign forever? Could his silence mean he's guilty? Or is it a genius move waiting for the right moment to flip the script? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear every wild theory, every hot take, and every prediction about what happens next. But here's the real kicker. If the files really show Drake keeping dirt on his rivals, then ask yourself this, who's about to be exposed next? Kendrick? Pusha? Even other OVO members? The stage is set for an industry meltdown, and I promise you, this is just the beginning. So don't just sit there watching, hit that like button to keep this story in circulation, smash that subscribe button so you never miss an update, and ring the notification bell because when the Legacy Ender drops, I'll be here breaking it down piece by piece with all the shocking details. This isn't just hip-hop history in the making. This is the kind of scandal that will be talked about for decades. And trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next. Because if this leak really destroys Drake's career forever, who's falling with him? Or forever, who's falling with him?